Hi, my name is Laura Beavis. I'm a self-taught artist and I mainly focus in pastel and colored pencil, but I also do some graphite and charcoal as well. When I first started out in my art, I did a lot of pet portraits and I still do them, and they're one of my favorite things to do. I decided to do this How to Draw Fur series to help people that are looking to improve their animal art. So whether you're a beginner or somebody who is just looking to get more depth and realism in your art, this course will help you get there. I found when I first started that I couldn't find a lot of videos that just focused on small little things. They were all these big tutorials, they took a long time, and I just felt that there weren't a lot of little videos where you focused on one thing and you could do them a little bit quicker. So I decided to make these videos so that if you just want to learn how to draw fur, but you're not really focusing on the full animal yet, this can really help you. So this course is How to Draw Fur in Pastel, and this is what we're going to be drawing. If you are interested in learning how to draw fur in either graphite, charcoal, or colored pencil, I have those courses as well. This one we're just going to focus in pastel. I'm not really going to get too much into the actual colors because depending on what you're drawing, they're going to be different anyways. So the first thing that I do when I'm doing fur in pastel is I block in the darkest colors that I see. So in this case, it was black, and I'm going to go and I'm going to put in those darkest areas. I'm going to use first a soft pastel, like pan pastel or pastel sticks. And then in this case, because it was actually really dark black, I came in with my black pastel pencil to make sure those areas were really dark. Depending on what your darkest dark is, you don't necessarily have to be using black. But in this case, the fur actually was black, so I did put that in. Because you can layer light on top of dark, I find that it's much easier to go in and do as dark as you possibly can and then layer on top. So I start with my darkest dark, which in this case was black, and then I gradually this is a very dark gray. It's a bluish gray, I believe, and I kind of like to mix the transition areas. So I used the dark gray to kind of transition from the black into where you're going to have this lighter color. Because there's so drastic of a difference here between the black and then the lighter fur that we have, I think that's important to make it not look so drastic and kind of cut off. Then I come in with a darker version of the light fur. So this part, because it's a very drastically different color fur here, you still want to make sure that you're going from dark to light. So I used a darker color, that's the light fur. And then I'm going to keep layering to create that depth of fur. You'll see me go back and forth between the light colors and the dark colors, and that's because I, again, want to get that transition from the dark to the light without it looking too disjointed. If you see the top portion there, it is kind of a drastic dark to light, but if you really look at it, it does kind of have a little bit of a gradient, and you want to make sure that it's not just like straight dark, straight light. So I like to use those transition colors to go in between from the dark to the light. Again, even with the light fur, you don't want to just use one color and just go for it. As you can see, every different color that I'm using in the light fur is adding so much depth. You want to make sure that you have multiple layers before you're adding your lightest color. That's the beauty of pastel. You can do that. So you want to make sure that before you're adding your lightest light, you have a depth behind it so that it gets the illusion of a ton of fur. If you're drawing a dog, it's not just one layer of fur, right? It's a very fluffy dog. There's fur on top of fur on top of fur. So even once I add my lightest light, I go through and I blend it out, and then I add some more depth back. So you'll see me go back again with the darker colors and then come and do another layer of light. And all of this is to achieve that look of multiple layers of fur. It's fur on top of fur on top of fur. One really important thing that you want to make sure you're doing as you're adding all of these layers is you want to make sure that your pencil strokes are not all in the same direction. As you can see, you have different lines going in slightly different directions. So yes, it's all going from top left to bottom right, but you want to make sure that it's all slightly different, because in nature, you're not going to get fur that's directly the same lines. That's not going to look realistic. And as you continue to layer, if each layer underneath is slightly different, that's going to give you that depth. And again, it's going to continue to look much more realistic. So the last thing that I do after I've done all of those layers is I come back with my lightest color, and I don't put it everywhere. I use it to highlight, and that's going to give you, again, that depth. As you can see, you compare this to the beginning of this, there is so much depth that you see. You see all these different layers of fur, and that's what you have to do when you're trying to draw a realistic animal. I hope that you found this video helpful. I know it was super fast. If you want to watch the full-length version of this, you can find it on my Skillshare, and that link is below. I hope that, even though it was fast, I hope that you found this tutorial helpful and you can use it to improve your fur drawings in pastel.